Once upon a time, in the village of Dambia, there lived a boy named Omar. He was strong, fast, and full of ambition, but he had one great flaw: he had no patience. While other boys learned the art of waiting, of listening to the elders, and of tending to the land with care, Omar wanted everything quickly. If a man wants something, he must take it now, he often boasted, laughing at those who took their time. The elders warned him, but he ignored their words, believing that speed was the key to success. One evening, under the great baobab tree where the villagers gathered for important announcements, the village chief stood before them. His voice was deep and commanding, his robe embroidered with symbols of wisdom. The crowd fell silent as he raised his staff. "The time has come for a great test," the chief declared. "Beyond the hills, there is an old man named Sefiu. He holds a message of great importance. Whoever brings it back to me will be rewarded with land, wealth, and a seat among the elders." A murmur of excitement spread through the crowd. Young men straightened their backs, eager for the challenge. Omar smirked. "A test of patience. What foolishness! I will complete this faster than anyone." As the chief finished speaking, the journey began. Omar, as expected, was the first to run ahead, leaving behind a trail of dust. But what he did not know was that the road to honor was not about speed, it was about wisdom, endurance, and patience. Omar took a shortcut through the forest, convinced it was the fastest way. But the path was filled with thorny bushes that tore at his clothes and scratched his skin. He stumbled over hidden roots, cursing as he pushed forward. "The others are fools," he muttered. "They will take twice the time while I will be back before sunset." But soon, his legs burned with exhaustion, and sweat dripped into his eyes. Every step forward felt harder, but he refused to slow down. At last, Omar pushed through the final thicket and reached the riverbank. But his heart sank, there was no bridge. The wooden planks that once connected both sides had been swept away by the recent rains. An old man with gray hair and tired eyes sat by the river in a small canoe, smoking a long pipe. He watched Omar with a knowing gaze. "Young man," the old man said, "do not try to cross the river by yourself. The current is stronger than it looks. Wait until morning when the waters are calmer, or I can take you across in my boat." Omar scoffed. "I do not have time to wait. I am faster than this river." Without another word, he stepped into the water. The moment he took his second step, the current grabbed his legs and pulled him under. He struggled, gasping for breath as the river tossed him like a leaf in the wind. His arms flailed, his vision blurred, and just as he thought he would be swallowed whole, a strong hand grabbed him and pulled him onto the riverbank. Coughing and shivering, he looked up. It was the old man. The old man sighed and shook his head. "Speed without wisdom is like a bird with no wings." Omar, too proud to admit his mistake, stood up and stumbled away, soaking wet and exhausted. By the time Omar reached the top of the hill, night had fallen. The stars glittered overhead, but he was too tired to admire them. His stomach growled, his limbs ached, and his clothes clung to him, still damp from the river. A small mud brick hut stood on the hilltop, smoke curling from its chimney. Outside, an old man named Sefiu sat by a fire, stirring a pot of porridge. His wrinkled face was calm, his movement slow and deliberate. Omar staggered forward. "Old man, I am here for the message. Give it to me quickly so I can return to the village." Sefiu looked up and smiled. "The message is not ready." Omar's eyes widened in frustration. "Not ready? I have come all this way. I cannot wait." Sefiu chuckled softly. "If you cannot wait, then you cannot succeed." Omar clenched his fist but said nothing. His stomach growled again. The old man ladled a bowl of porridge and handed it to him. "Eat," Sefiu said. "And sit by the fire. The night is cold." Omar hesitated. He had spent all day rushing, fighting, and suffering because of his impatience. But at that moment, exhaustion won over pride. He took the bowl and sat by the fire. As he ate, Sefiu told stories of warriors, kings, and wise men who learned the power of patience. Omar listened, and for the first time, he did not interrupt. By dawn, Sefiu handed him a small scroll sealed with wax. "Now, you may take the message." Omar held it carefully. He did not rush. He walked back the long way, stopping for rest, drinking water, and crossing the river using the fisherman's canoe instead of forcing through the current. When Omar reached the village, the chief and villagers were waiting. Some had arrived before him. Ao, a quiet young man, stood beside the chief, his message in hand. The chief unrolled Ao's message and read aloud, "Patience brings wisdom. Wisdom brings success." Then he opened Omar's scroll. It carried the same words. The chief studied Omar's face. "Tell me, Omar, what did you learn?" Omar took a deep breath. "I learned that rushing leads to pain. That waiting is not weakness, but strength. That true honor is not found in speed, but in wisdom." The chief nodded approvingly. "Then you have won." The villagers clapped, and Omar, for the first time in his life, felt pride, not from being the fastest, but from understanding the journey. What did you learn from the story? Comment below.